Hello everyone, welcome to Fableheim and the 4th Dev Diary Dev Stream Breakdown for Age of Wonders 4, The Ways of War. Be sure to grab a drink or popcorn or both, because today's Dev Diary is about the hero Rework, and it is so long, there's 2 of them. It didn't fit, so they had to make another one. So I'll leave a link in the description down below where you can read the Dev Diary for yourself, or check out the Dev Stream. The Dev Stream is pretty chill, so I don't have too much to talk about it, but I was mentioned in the Dev Stream, so thanks for the shout out, Yordi. And I'll talk more about that when we get there. It was brief, and I can't talk too much about it, but I can at least elaborate on what Yordi was talking about. So without further ado, let's get into what could be the most anticipated feature of the DLCs and its accompanying patch. Greetings, Gaudia and mortal alike. I am Thomas Schutten, designer at Triumph, and today I finally get to show you the greatest post-release rework Triumph has ever done, the Hero Rework. This is not an exaggeration. With the upcoming release of Ways of War on November 5th, we are, as always, including a free update, the Tiger Update, which will strengthen the base game, this time focusing on heroes, governance, and ambition. Likewise, this too is a story of heroes, attempted governance, and certainly a lot of ambition. So grab your astral dew, get your reading glasses out, and join me as I attempt to explain it all. Behold, the Behemoth. This board is where I compiled all of the skills and designed the classes, origins, affinity skills, etc. You will see the relevant places more up close further down. Rest assured there is some order in the chaos. So this is addressing a lot of the reasoning behind the changes. So it won't be just going through like the class trees. We're going to see some of the logic and kind of like a little bit behind the curtain. I know some people don't like it when the veil is lifted, but I'm actually quite interested. So, heroes as they were released were functional, adaptable, and easy to expand upon. The open selection system has served Age of Wonders well in the past, but some of the need for that adaptability was lessened with the introduction of the Item Forge, and with Tiger Patch a much smarter item reward system. However, much more importantly for our story today, it brought with it several problems. Problems that could not easily be solved. To start off the rework, I collected feedback and combined it with our own observations to make a list of problems we would seek to tackle with the new design. I have added in italics a quick summary of what part of the new design ended up addressing the point. Homogenization of heroes. This is a huge problem. Was a huge problem. All heroes have access to the same set of skills and can swap weapons at any time, contributing to a lack of identity. Skill category balance. Battle mage is considered weak compared to warfare, and support is very concentrated in a select few powerful effects. This is true. Signature skills. Randomization makes it hard to build characters with these. Small pool makes builds quite homogeneous in terms of signature skills. Internal balance is often causes certain signatures to be never taken, and often chosen based on the affinity reward on rulers. Yes. How often will we push our way to higher tomes by choosing a signature skill? And if it wasn't that, it was a summon. That was about it, yeah. Hero stacking. Heroes are meant as army leaders, but are often easily specialized into being powerful combat units instead of leading to them having less identity than hope. And hero's identity is entirely carried by the background trait, which simply does not do enough on its own. That's true. So the solutions. No singular change could cover all of the outline problems in one go, but we could be efficient with the design and cover multiple bases with each change. Here I will give a basic outline of the changes before going into depth in their own sections. The major changes can be broken down into the following areas: hero advancement, governance, and narrative. Heroes will gain a set of skill trees from which they can pick their skills whenever they level up. The skill trees available to the hero will depend on 3 sources: their origin, their class, and their signature skills. Each source adds a tree of options to that the hero may choose their skills from as they gain level. Origin would express the hero's origin. It is what they are. This is meant to separate a mortal champion from a dragon lord. This meant that wizard kings and mortal champions would finally have their own unique skill set available only to them. Class will express a hero's talent, each as a general direction, but allow for further specialization towards particular roles within it. A defender, for example, is hardy and dependable. but can lean into the role of an infantry polearm hero or a shield that defends those around them. Signature skills are a big change from the past. These will now instead generally express the influence of the Empire's affinity upon the hero, rather than being randomized and for rulers doing the opposite. The hero will choose signature skills from options based on the Empire's affinity, each granting a boost to the army they lead and giving new hero skill options that fit that affinity. This is going to be felt in incredibly subtle ways, and I'm quite curious to see how it all pans out. Thanks to the skill tree structure combined with the class system, we can really up the power level and specificity of hero skills. Where previously having a hero gain a barrage attack would have a whole host of problems, such as them not wielding the correct weapon, the ability not scaling as the game progresses, and it being yet another ability on a hero, that can get too many already. Now it can be a unique choice that later skills can build upon to further empower it in unique ways, and that it remained a valid choice for use in combat. I wonder if we're going to need the scroll bar on our action bar still. Because I feel like in the late game, every hero, you just have to scroll looking for that one ability you want to press. So you have like 15 buttons and you're unsure, is this spur to action or is this, you know how it is. Thomas specified in the dev stream, they were talking a lot, one clear example was giving additional retaliations. I love having lots of retaliations, but the reason they didn't have that in like the base hero skills was because while that is a very strong fantasy for like a defender or like a polearm unit, people would use it with a charge weapon and it would break the balance completely. So there were a lot of decisions they had to make like that with their open and adaptable system, whereas now with the classes and the specific roles, they can up the power level quite a lot. That's the TLDR for that. Heroes will each gain a governance trait. This determines the effects they have on their governed city. This replaces the old hero affinity-based income bonus with a more clear and noticeable effect. These governance traits would scale as the game progresses and the hero gains renown. This is a tremendously good change. Heroes will now each have ambitions, goals they seek to achieve, granting them renown that improves their governance effects. These ambitions give a narrative expression of what the hero personally wants, and gives a unique hero skill when the major ambition is completed. I don't know why, but I never caught on the fact that when you complete a major ambition, you get a new skill. We actually saw that in the dev stream, so there'll be a screenshot about it later. What is a hero now? What is a hero? What is a villain? Hard to say sometimes. As an overview, a hero in the new system is made up of 3 factors. Their class, which grants access to the largest main skill tree. The class of rulers is determined by their loadout choice. Defender, defensive, melee only, supportive, and hard to kill. Warrior, offensive, melee only, high damage, and fast. The biggest difference between these is that defenders cannot use shock weapons. And I don't think warriors can use shields, but maybe they can. Mage, magic damage at range, area effect, and control through status effects. Ritualist, magical support, buffing allies, healing, and summoning. And finally, Ranger, pure offensive, range damage, skirmishing, and disruptive. They mentioned that for the Ranger tree, they had to basically make up a whole section for like skirmishing and dedicated range stuff that they couldn't have previously because, give you a range ability, what happens if you equipped a sword and shield? It's dead. So, the Ranger probably took them the most work, I would not be surprised to learn. Their origin, which grants them a small skill tree with unique options. Mortal Champion, specialized in army leadership. Wizard King, specialized in spellcasting. The Dragon Lord, from Dragon's Dawn, specialized in unique combat skills. And the Eldritch Sovereign, from Eldritch Realms, specialized in strategic rituals and control. Their signature skills, chosen at milestones level 4, 8, 12, and 16, that remains unchanged. For Heroes and Wizard Kings, these became affinity dedications. Heroes can pick affinity dedications that their empire has the correct affinity for. They do not, themselves, grant affinity anymore. That has been removed. Each affinity dedication gives an army leadership bonus, and each affinity dedication grants 2 skill options that can be used to support tome builds of that affinity. It was mentioned in the dev stream by Thomas that The first one is the Initiate skill. And that's the two abilities that the Initiate skill unlocks is always kind of designed to play into the tome design that you're going for. So like Initiative Chaos unlocks the morale bonus when killing something or searing attacks. Like these are dedicated for the morale bombing of Chaos or the burning damage of Chaos. Whereas the other ones, the Adept, Master, and Paragon, are more like flavorful. But still, you know, based on the tomes, but still more flavor than just hard dedicated to the build. For Dragon Lords, from Dragon's Dawn, they gained unique signature skill choices for the levels where they lacked them. Dragon Lord heroes still gain access to the 2 affinity skill options, similar to Champions and Wizard Kings. Dragon Lord signature skills do not have affinity requirements. They basically just expanded the minor and major transformation. For Eldritch Sovereigns, from Eldritch Realms, they retained their signature skills as they were, though they also no longer grant affinity. Eldritch Sovereign signature skills do not have affinity requirements, and they do not open up more skills, unlike everybody else. They're special. There is a lot of detail to go into, so I will go step by step, starting with the largest component of a hero, classes. When I began exploring the class concept, I set a ground rule that each class should be able to be built into fill roughly 2 different roles. This would help ensure the system isn't too restrictive and allow for creative builds within it. The first step was identifying player fantasies for their heroes. What did players want their heroes to be? What could already be done and how? And what could not yet be done? And why not? All of the Ranger skill tree. Having created what is effectively a pile of dorky fantasies, I grouped them based on the rough role they would have in our combat system. A knight would, for example, be a shock unit in combat, so whichever class is going to contain the shock unit role would have to support knight as a fantasy, while also accounting for the charging barbarian with a great axe. I will go over each class, what fantasies they were meant to embody, how they try to do so, and maybe some interesting tidbits here and there, too. The Defender. Nice stick. Expected roles, polearm / shield. Strength, high defenses, high health, strong options for retaliations and defending others. Weaknesses, no range attacks, low damage output. We'll see about that. It is kind of low, all things considered, but I'm going to try and make my stabby character as stabby as possible. Weapons, polearm, one-handed melee, and shield. The Defender was the first class to design the content for. For the first iteration, we tried to simply reuse existing skills for this. I knew from the initial design this would be unlikely to hold up all the way until release, but it gave us a good guideline for what may work and let us test the system in its simplest form. Like most class skill trees, I divided it roughly into 3 sections. A center section with generalist skills where most stats increases can be found, and the 2 sides, each hosting skills more suited to a particular specialization the class is capable of. In the Defender's case, these were Infantry and Shield. The Infantry side specializes in retaliations and is more individual, leaning into the polearm role, while the Shield side specializes in the use of defense mode and holding formations with allies. So this is the old one, just for temporary reference apparently. Yeah, so they baked in a lot of the abilities granted from tomes that have just been kind of baked into various classes or baked into signature skills. And they've mentioned that for the most part, all abilities that could be obtained from tomes can be picked up in other ways. But if there's something they're missing, let them know. So, you know, infantry, you have Sentinel, Frontline Fighter. Okay. Retaliator. Yeah, plus one retaliation is going to be a thing now. I'm so excited. And Alarm, but we'll get to that. And then Shield is just Shield Bearer adjacency stuff. I wonder how... So the Feudal Lord stuff was removed. They were given a flat bonus for that now. I don't remember what it was. Was it just reduced upkeep? I think that's what it was. But you can get the adjacency stuff that Feudal specialized in here. I think they also still have their feudal adjacency. To stand together? Lots of testing we could do with that. The first iteration of the Defender's skill tree, note the central column contains primarily stat improvements while the sides had all the juicy stuff. In this version, yeah. Defense, resistance, fighting, vigor. Boring. This design worked as intended and proved the concept could work, but it lacked the opportunity for creativity I wanted, and feedback from testing showed it was definitely noticeable. Additionally, it was simply too passive and lacked particularly exciting abilities that set the hero apart. The creativity issue is visible in the columns formed in this design. It meant that often picking one skill just locked you into picking the ones below it, which reduces the number of variants you could make within this tree significantly. So after we got the other classes functional, I had another go at the Defender with the aim to improve build options within it and allow for more creative use of the skills. I also added more active abilities since the original version lacked these quite severely. Oh hey. Nice little sticky notes. Okay, it's looking a lot like what it is now. All the arrows pointing everywhere. Oh, we see an exclusivity arrow. Okay, okay. This actually is very similar to what it is right now. We have the Stunning Bash, the exclusive Vanguards, reinforcement stuff. Okay. Current, final version of Defender. Note that there is much more crossover between the sections and several new skills to help fill out the roster. And here we are. Isn't it beautiful? And here it is in game as demonstrated on my Dragon Lord, who is going hard into their shielded defense with the new Shield Claw. There we go. That is a nice web of chaos. In the final iteration, I allowed for much more connectivity between the branches, which should allow for more unconventional builds. I also added 3 active abilities, one for each type of Defender. A pushing attack for Defender's focus on damage with specialization options to make it more defensive for those who want to use it while stuck in, or more aggressive for initiating combat or shifting the front line. Taunt is an obvious classic that was simply lacking in the first version, and Stunning Bash fills the role of a shield bash, letting the hero contribute directly to the battle while still entering their empowered defense mode. The difference is the shield bash we know and despise is a 90% chance. This one is a 120% chance to stun. Perfectly balanced, as all things should be. We have a warrior. Oh, hey, I have a screenshot for this. The great swords have a new idle stance. Pretty cool. Expected rolls: shock, fighter, high damage. The strengths are high damage, high mobility, individual unit power. Their weaknesses: no ranged attacks, low defense and resistance, no support ability. Weapons: great weapons, polearms, one-handed melee weapons, and shield. Okay, so they can also use a shield. Warrior covers a lot of separate themes. The noble knight and the unstoppable barbarian both should be formed out of its components. It focuses a lot on the power of the hero themselves, eschewing any and all support abilities. They can be surprisingly hard to truly take down thanks to their access to health and self-healing in combat. They always risk being focused down on their own, however, lacking the access to defense and resistance that the Defender has. The warrior is subdivided into Shock Trooper on the left, which specializes in enhancing charge attacks, and the Berserker on the right, which excels in sustained combat and repeating attack. Nice sticky note. Needs more sustain, needs some abilities. Oh, it started with Thundering Strikes. That's interesting. I believe it still has Thundering Strikes. Okay. The old warrior skill tree, very similar in setup to that of the first Defender. Being designed second, the initial design had similar issues to the Defender's first version, but had an even more extreme issue of segmentation, where players would pick columns instead of individual skills, which led to much less build variety than was acceptable or intended. This tree too got a big pass once the others were completed, adding more active abilities and rearranging it significantly. Ah, there's the exclusion we know. There's killing momentum. Which, by the way, someone informed me that you can't get killing momentum from the item forge, which means the warrior is not the only one who has killing momentum. It's just the only one with killing momentum in their tree. So my dream of a mage lock shenanigan lives on. Thank you. Now we are cooking. Cooking spaghetti, that is, but the tasty, enjoyable kind. Much more interconnectivity between the skills to explore, letting the hero be built in much more varied ways than before. Yes, here it is. This particular warrior is aiming for a build around an aggressive charge, quickly slaying their opponents with one swift strike before using second wind to recover and reposition. Second wind. Yeah, charge looks like it's going to be kind of crazy. Of course, we could always just go for the classic crit build over here. That's always a good time. The warrior, just like the defender, lacked active skills in their first iteration, which was addressed here, giving them a bit more flash. Look at the beautiful second wind. It's still free action. Yeah, it's still free action. Okay. Second wind in particular is worth highlighting, as it is part of the streamlining I have tried to do with hero abilities to address the ability bloat. Second wind is a mashup of the old sprint ability and bloodlust from the barbarian culture. The effective sprint was lessened a bit to move it out of the territory of the skirmishers and make it a more versatile tool for warriors. The extra movement and slippery lets the hero lash out at a nearby enemy, while the healing effect gain lets them stay in the fight longer. The attempt to tackle hero ability bloat is more clearly exemplified in the next class, the Mage. Scripted roles, Battle Mage. Strengths, magic damage, area of effect, range, and afflictions. Weaknesses, no melee, low defense and health, and their weapons are the orbs and staves. And Dragon Claws for Dragon Lords, and the Eldritch Balls. Whatever those are called. Oh, we're going straight to the final version of Mage. Okay. Cool. I have some screenshots for this. Mage came third and is a much more specific concept. Spellcasting as a unit role existed before the hero rework, but they were one-off abilities that scaled poorly as the game progressed. Ain't that true? I wanted to strengthen the feel of a hero being a mage by giving the unit abilities that they can then modify through their skill choices. This passive right here, I will never, ever select it. You can't make me. Mage is roughly divided into Devastator and Warlock, with the Devastator side granting AoE magic abilities and focusing on damage dealing, while the Warlock side specializes in status effects and control. Oh my. Okay. Spell, circle, and point. Okay. The designer spaghetti version. Ah, yes, our spaghetti. The mage skill tree is roughly built around two defining skills, the evocation and the curse, with specialization building upon those skills. Evocations were in the game before as separate abilities that did not scale well as the game progressed. Ain't that true? Now the hero can choose to specialize in a fire area effect evocation or a chain targeting lightning evocation. There's a choice? Like there's only one choice. Unlimited power with lightning. Each can then be further specialized, letting them focus on damage, disruption, or even spreading like wildfire. The curse ability is at its base a single target debuff that deals frost damage. It can be built to be even more powerful as a frost cure curse or as a plague inflicting AoE. Yeah, where is it? This one. This is like a 100% chance to freeze. Kind of insane. The Ritualist. This is the new one, the Vow Keeper. Roll support. Strength support summons healing. Weaknesses, no melee, weak defenses, low damage. And the weapons are staves or orbs. Or Dragon Lord Claws, or Eldritch Sovereign Balls. Depending on what you are. Look at this tree. This is a full support build right here. Is this the AoE right here? I think this is the AoE heal. Into the healing shrubbery. The final in-game version of the Ritualist tree. This particular hero focusing on area of effect and a druidic theme. Yeah, there's a druid here. Ritualist is a particularly unique class, having to cover a wide set of themes and mechanics. At its most basic level, it is divided into healing/support and summoning, but each of these has many flavors to cover. Ritualist is the most ability heavy of all the classes, which leads to a rather unique setup compared to others. The Restore skill is at the core of the class, unifying the many healing abilities into a single powerful ability that can be built to be single target and extremely potent, and even revived, area of effect, or even quick to cast but weaker. I actually think it's this tree here, I believe. The quick cast, this leaves you with one. It brings it to a 1-turn cooldown and leaves you with 1 AP after healing. So you can cleanse/heal and then hit with your staff. I think that's going to be quote-unquote the best. But we'll of course see. We'll see. Additionally, this class can lean into themes such as Druidry through the Conjure Wildgrowth skill, Druidry through the Conjure Wildgrowth skill, Summoning through the Spirit Summoning skills, and Necromancy through the Raise Undead skills. There is much ground to cover in the class, but the skills were picked based on mechanical variants. Of course, one would want summons for any specific unit type they happen to be building for, but this is handled through other sources instead, such as hero items and the affinity hero skills gained through dedication through dedicating the hero to the nature affinity. There we go. Sorry. So we have the Ritualist here. This looks like the early build. Maybe. Now that is more segmented than others due to the many active abilities contained in the tree, yes. The Necromancy stuff is just like over here. It's very small. But we'll see if how much Necromancy is in the later Shadow dedication. And here is Ranger. Ranged Skirmisher is their role. Their strength are high range damage, critical strikes, and versatility. Their weaknesses are weaker defenses, lacking resistance, and their weapons are ranged weapons and dual skirmisher weapons. Or as they're called in the Item Forge right now, more weapons. There's other weapons. It's other weapons. This looks familiar. Getting a sense of deja vu. In-game final version of the Ranger skill tree. Liar! This hero is functioning as a skirmisher, using Snapshot as an opener before diving into melee, where they can finish the target off. No, this looks like a summoner tree to me. Ranger was a pain in the butt to design. Age of Wonders 4 did not feature many hero skills that actually fit with the ranged role appropriately, and for skirmishing, there was even less. Thus, the Ranger class had, from its first iteration, the most new skills out of all of them, having practically all of it made anew to begin with. The Ranger has, similar to the Mage, a choice of defining ability on the left side of the tree. Scattershot gives an area of effect option to the usually single-target focus role of ranged attackers, while True Shot lets one make a true sniper. Fun fact, True Shot does not need line of sight. Perfectly balanced, as all things should be. Snapshot lets the hero be built as a much more mobile unit, either for Rangers who want to have a backup when forced to move, or Rangers who want to add extra utility for their skirmishing. Oh yeah, other weapons. There's the Ranger tree, a maze of delirium that nearly drove a Tom Bird to madness. Well, more of it anyway. Can you drive someone to something they already had? Question mark? Oh boy, there's a lot of words here. I was hoping I could look at this to make up for the misplaced screenshot, but can I? So the key features here, this part over here is crits. This part is skirmish focus stuff. They even have, I could not place where I've seen this before, but they have a feature, I think it's this one. It's really small, I'm sorry. Where when you hit with a range attack, your next melee attack within 2 turns does more damage. And if you hit with a melee attack, your next range attack within 2 turns does more damage. I thought that was really fun. I like cycling. And then this is just strictly bonus stats. And this is all of the new ranged attacks. Other weapons. New Item Forge options. To support the skirmishing role now being an option for heroes, we added additional skirmisher weapons to the Item Forge and as starting options for the feudal, dark, and high cultures. Not everyone wants to be slinging mage-locked pistols, after all. They also mentioned in the dev stream that these are not tied to any DLC. I wasn't aware that Magelock and Pistol was locked behind Empires and Ashes. Maybe it just is as a starting weapon, but hey, there you go. And again, we have feudal here, dark here, and high culture there. Origins would be the second component that grants a hero more identity. This primarily affects rulers, since heroes are usually mortals, unless they join from the Pantheon. Each origin has its own niche, for which it provides skills the hero can choose to specialize further in. They are relatively small, intended to supplement the hero's role as provided by their class, rather than supplant it. Ah, right, yes. Hey look, it's Zorn. Is that your name? The disciplined guy? He's back. His return. Champions have suffered a bit as we expanded on Age of Wonders 4 and added more ruler types to the game. They did not have too much to set them apart from those ruler types, so with the rework we gave them an identity of their own. Commanders. You know what's funny? Champions did suffer as far as like having access to really cool things and unique identities, but I kind of felt like champions were just the best. You know, like, they had like the best passives. Were they the coolest? Absolutely not even a little bit. But yeah, these starting bonuses are insane. The champion was quite unfocused before. Their ruler benefits have been simplified to be less economic focused and lean into the trope of the mortal hero. Okay, so they did nerf the starting stuff. They had like bonus city stability, bonus gold, bonus drafts. It was all just good stuff. But now, access to unique leadership stuff. Mortal champion rulers gain 20% bonus experience, start with 100% or plus 100 relations to free cities. And mortal champion rulers start with the command ability in combat. Oh yeah, they crumped the bonuses that really made champion insane. Okay, that's fair. If my Wizard King gets nerfed, champion deserves one too. Champion rulers now start with the command ability. Veterans may remember this as spur to action. I do remember it as spur to action, thank you. Every hero I've ever built had spur to action. This ability lets them order another unit to move again at the expense of their own movement, and can be upgraded as well. I'm still really torn on how I think the best usage of commands upgrade is. I think it really depends. Because these are mutually exclusive, right? But we'll see if he talks about it, and then I'll enter this rant here. The Mortal Champion Origin skill tree. Notice is quite wide rather than deep. This is wide rather hunting weapons. Wide rather than deep. This is the general norm for Origin skill trees, as they are intended to be more supplemental than the class tree. Besides the command ability, Champion Origin rulers have access to the other skills which boost their army both tactically and strategically, though investing in these skills may mean foregoing potential personal power in their class or through the affinity hero skills. This is... oh boy. This one is healing, 10 health on the world map. This one is bonus XP, this one is damage to adjacent units, and this one is defense to adjacent units. And there are upgrades. Don't remember those though. So for command, it has 2 upgrades. I don't remember which is which, but I think this one is command will now jump to 1 nearby unit within 3 turns, so you can refresh the actions of 2 units, which seems insane. But this one makes command a free action like spur to action was. So I guess it depends on how powerful your mortal champion is. As a faction leader, I would imagine they're pretty strong unless you're playing like a support one. But, we'll see. All heroes found in the game that do not come from the Pantheon are mortal champions. With this rework, we have set them apart a little from their ruler counterparts. Heroes have their own version of the champion origin tree, one notably lacking access to the command skill. Regardless, they can still specialize between army leadership, and their classes are just the same. Yeah, they got rid of command for the other heroes because spur to action was a thing. Every hero ever had spur to action, and I guess they just didn't want to repeat that. But then there's Cult of Personality, which we'll talk about later. Wizard Kings, my boy. How far you have fallen. Once you were unstoppable. And now... Just as the champion looked less and less appealing as the game grew, the Wizard King similarly had some trouble standing apart from their mortal counterpart. Overchannel was an iconic ability, but had all of its power condensed into it from the start. To bring the Wizard King more in line with the other ruler types and allow for more build variety in their theme, the Overchannel ability was reworked into Channeling Ritual. Okay, I'm intrigued. He got rid of it. It's gone. My bonus casting points. Wizard Kings have access to the unique combat spell Enhancing Hero Skills. All conduits grant +2 mana, and Wizard Kings start with the Channeling Ritual combat ability in combat. Channeling Ritual, like Command for the Mortal Champions, is a starting ability, one that can be specialized into a quickened, but only usable once per combat version, or a more defensive ritual which heals the user and lets them enter defense mode, a potential combo with the Defender or Ritualist classes. Okay. The Wizard King origin tree in-game. I don't know what any of this is. I mean, obviously that's Overchannel. Furthermore, the Wizard King's skill tree features skills that grant more casting points. Yes! Replacing the automatic casting point gain of Wizard Kings with a more intentional investment on the hero's part to gain that power. So how much was it? A level 20 Wizard King had... No. Math 5, 10, 50? I think it was plus 50 casting points, right? By the end of the game. And lastly, a set of skills which lets the Wizard King gain strength as spells are cast and add an overcharge effect to particular spells whenever Channeling Ritual is used. Interesting. Okay. Alright. Respect. Dragon Lords. Big, stompy, and terrifying. That is what dragons were meant to be when introduced them in Dragon Dawn. Yet in practice, they were found to be easy to focus down, lacking the defense to withstand the damage their larger form attracted. In the end, they were often relegated to something more akin to an artillery unit than a monstrous beast of war. TLDR, they were bad. I think the Dragon Lords were like the weakest of all the Lord types. Currently still are, but I think that's about to change. I think that's about to change. I decided that during a personal development day, I would redesign the Dragon Lord signatures. Being a bit of a dragon nerd myself, I wanted to address their lacking survivability, the force transformation, and build variety. Survivability I would address by having each of the dragon signature skills grant a stat boost, roughly equivalent to being 1 unit tier higher each time. This means that dragons can now keep up with the survivability of other heroes gaining equipment, without having to invest skill points into merely keeping up. Dragon Lords have always had unique signature skills divided into 2 levels. At level 4 they would choose their lesser transformation, and at level 12 they would gain a major transformation that modified their breath weapon. But at level 8 and 16 they shared the same pool as all other heroes did. Behold the whole lineup. A little easier to read. Does this include the nerf to... No? Maybe. So, the idea here is level 4 you choose your aspect as always. This is what changed your breast, your chest plate. And you, on top of that, get 15 HP, 1 defense, and 1 resistance, no matter what. And then you get a bonus stat depending on what aspect you chose. Then at level 8, you gain that again, plus 15 HP, plus 1 defense, plus 1 resistance. And some boons that can change your type. There's also the new Primal Transformation, which doesn't affect you at all. You just stay as you were. This is the major transformation formally. So if you don't want to become a giant walking flower, you can stay as you were, the Primal Transformation, and gain plus 10 bonus health and natural regeneration, which turns out is pretty good. Level 12 is the upgrade to your breath attack that normally came with a major transformation. They kind of split it into 2. On top of that, you also get plus 30 max HP. And level 16 is the new Elder, where you gain, again, plus 15 HP, plus 1 defense, plus 1 resistance, and then you gain some crazy Apex skill depending on Whatever you choose. In order to support the affinity hero skills and open up build options, I aim to fill in the gaps and add 2 more signature skill sets. So each signature skill choice now had unique options, and these are grouped as the following. Oh, this is much easier to read. We have the aspect, again, largely unchanged. Aspect's level 4 signature skills. A powerful stat boost accompanied by a passive effect that reinforces the affinity's expected role. Order grants adjacent allies resistance, while Shadow inflicts weakened, for example. So Astral is if you're like, want to be a mage, like a ranged dragon. Chaos is just raw damage. Materium is self-defense. Nature is support. Order is defense for the team. And then Shadow is like debuffing. Just TLDR. Transformations, level 8 signature skills. These once more include the stat boost, but more importantly, here the unit type changes are found. If you want to become a Fey Dragon, choose the Nature transformation and grow the wilds on the battlefield as you move. This is where the major visual variation is now added. In addition to the 6 affinity transformations, there is the 7th option, Primal Transformation. This option grants a hefty stat bonus and natural regeneration, but more importantly does not change the Dragon Lord's visual, letting them be a pure dragon. The transformation grants affinity skills just as the others do, though its affinity is based on what affinity the dragon started with. I wonder how people are going to like this. Quite curious to see what we can do with it. Breath, level 12 signature skills. Yet again, the hero gains more hit points, but much more importantly, this modifies their breath attack. These are streamlined to give a much clearer use case to each breath attack. Pure Breath, Order, grants the breath attack a heal and cleanse on friendly units, while Rust Breath, Materium, weakens and sunders defenses while cleansing the enemy's positive effects instead. I'm still not sure if Pure Breath deals damage to enemies. Like, is it now just strictly a heal? I don't know. We'll find out. I heard both, yes and no. So, as with most things, gotta test it out ourselves. Elder, level 16 signature skills, an even bigger stat bonus than the other levels, keeping the Dragon Lord up to par with heroes who will have gained their armor by now. But more interestingly, each affinity option here grants the Dragon Lord a unique effect. The Elder of Astral skill grants Wind Barrier and a unique ability to remove pesky melee units from your dragon's presence, while the Elder of Chaos grants a damage bonus that grows throughout the battle each time the hero slays an enemy. I think Dragon Lords are going to be really fun. Dragons have always had their own unique melee weapon in the Dragon Claws, but now that they can have class rolls, there were some options lacking, which provides the perfect opportunity to add some new options here. Look at them. They're beautiful. There are now 3 variations of claw weapon. Dragon Claws, which are the original for sustained repeating damage, Armored Claws for more defense in a powerful defense mode, and War Claws for charging in and crushing your enemies. Translation: Armored Claws deal a little bit less damage, but still have the repeating effect and give you defense mode when you enter defense mode. And then War Claws are now shock weapons. So, what's scarier than a dragon flying at you? A dragon flying at you, gaining bonus damage with each flap of its wings. The Sovereigns were largely untouched. This is true. Having been a recent addition in Eldritch Realms, a distinguishing feature of theirs is that they have unique, extremely powerful abilities gained through the signatures and origin skill tree. But they do not have the same ties to affinities that the other origins have, and thus do not gain affinity hero skill options for their signatures. Additionally, it is notable that Sovereigns can only be mages or ritualists, both leaning into their strength as magic users. This looks like it's the same. Yeah. Still as manipulative and controlling as ever. Do not trust them. It was at this point we realized we had hit the Steam word count, and we're only at 30 out of 45 pages. We still haven't covered signature skills or the new and improved UI yet. So, bonus dev diary. Here we go. I need more water. Okay, with a new water in hand, let's get to the signature skills. The next big item on the block is signature skills. Previously, these were a small pool of active abilities, When reaching particular milestones, the hero would get to pick a signature skill from a list of random options. This had several issues: a lack of control, wildly varying power levels, and dilution of hero roles. Everyone would always pick the same skills, and particularly the summon abilities were problematic. Thus, to put it bluntly, these are no longer the same. Many of these skills have been reworked and used elsewhere. I believe they mentioned there are still summons in the signature skill tree in the master tier for nature and materium? Maybe? Affinity dedications. For mortal champions and wizard kings, the signature skills take the form of affinity dedications. These grant effects that empower the army that the hero leads, and unlock a pair of hero skills that support the builds and identity associated with that affinity. To choose an affinity dedication, the hero must first reach the appropriate level, then the Empire must have the appropriate affinity. At level 4, only initiate dedications may be chosen, and only of the affinities the Empire has. At level 8, they may choose either initiate dedications they do not yet have, with the same requirements, or any adept level dedications their Empire has enough affinity for. At level 12, Master level and lower can be chosen, and lastly at level 16, Paragon or any other level. So this answers my question of what's stopping someone from respecing the late game to have all Master choices? You can't. They thought of that one. Shucks. Notice how for level 4, only the initiate dedications of the Empire's affinities are valid. So yeah, they have 5 Chaos, 1 Order, and it takes 1 of whichever affinity you want. I have a feeling that Chaos is going to be the favorite, because it gives crit, and crit's incredible. But we'll see. This allows for mixing between multiple affinities. If you have a build that uses 2 very different affinity mechanics that you want to lean into, you can choose to give the hero 2 initiate dedications, giving access to the relevant skills. Note that none of the dedications require a previous one. They are purely restricted by the level of Empire affinity. If you wish to skip Nature Initiate in favor of another affinity but still want Adept of Nature on level 8, you can do so. Yep. Seems good. At level 8, because the hero already has the Order Initiate dedication, the only valid options are between Adept and Initiate of Chaos. The affinity dedications are free, which means that as the hero levels, they will empower the army they lead. This means that to make optimal use of your heroes should seek to have each lead their own army, setting them apart from the rank and file units they lead. The hero then gains access to 2 additional hero skills based on the affinity dedication taken. Initiate of Nature, for example, grants Blight Strikes and Pack Leader, letting the hero specialize to support builds that the Empire may be leaning into, such as applying Poison and Decay, or fielding lots and lots of animal units. The affinity dedications are divided into 4 levels: Initiate, Adept, Master, and Paragon. Each grants access to 2 new skills, 1 more offensively oriented and 1 more defensive/utility oriented. Paragon is the exception, granting only a single skill that is universally powerful. Initiate grants access to build supporting hero skills such as the Payoff for attacking burning enemies in Chaos, or the leadership buff to animals in nature. Glad they said that. Adept is usually more individual, letting the hero themselves take on the theme more strongly through a passive effect, such as Order's Incorruptible Spirit, which grants a huge boost to the status effect resistance of the hero, while Astral can gain evasion as they are attacked, blurring their image. That won't be annoying. Master skills are the active abilities. This is where some old favorites like Blink can be found, as well as several new abilities such as Awaken Earth. Ooh. Okay. I hope Assassinate's in here. It's not a Fade playthrough if there's no death. The inescapable end. Paragon skills are unique in several ways. Firstly, while the other 3 levels grant the same stacking bonus to the army, the Paragon dedications each give their own unique army boost. Paragon of Order, for example, grants all units in the army Resurgence, letting them all become immortal martyrs to the cause. Okay, that's pretty neat. Additionally, Paragon skills unlock only a single new hero skill option. one that is more universally powerful, such as Materium's Ancient of Earth, or Shadow's Eternal One. Perfect. So here's the question about Ancient of Earth. It's a question I have. It's a question you have. It's a question we all have. Does it now make dragons big? Because I went Tome of Creator in the Smaug playthrough just to try and make Smaug ginormous with Ancient of Earth, and he didn't change. I was betrayed. But hey, at least we got to make a muscle mummy. Next best thing, I suppose. Become immortal, eternal king. But I am immortal. Formerly, tomes granted hero skills. Many of those got reused, some did not make it. This has a few reasons. Chief amongst these is the dilution of hero roles through them, and the fact that many were simply filler, not really supporting their tome's build in a significant capacity. Instead, many of the build supporting skills were, as you could read above, reworked to fit into the affinity hero skills instead. This has the added advantage of not requiring particular tomes to gain the hero skill that supports the playstyle. You do not need to have the Tome of Souls to get the Necromancy supporting hero skill to help you with your Tome of Necromancy build, for example. True, it's a good change. There are some that were more difficult than others. Notably amongst these were the Cleansing Flame Herald, part of the Tome of Cleansing Flame. This is instead a passive gain when the tome is unlocked, which should feel much nicer. It does, I assure you. It already feels better. Good. Art of the Hero Rework. For a short interlude here on the art side of the project, I'm including a section of Ella and Anna's write-up on the art of the hero rework. Worry not, I will return after the pretty pictures to provide more nerdy insight. Hi all. Ella. I'm going with Ella. I'm sorry. Ella here, 2D artist at Triumph. I'll be the one to present you with the full Art of Ways of War dev diary at a later date, probably next week, but I wanted to barge into Thomas's dev diary too so I could share a little bit of background on the art side of the hero rework. Nice T-pose. Before we bury the old interface permanently, have this very old pre-release mockup as a lovely way to remember the admittedly difficult to love list box layout. Yeah. Admittedly difficult to love indeed. Hey, look at that face. That face looks familiar. Is it the morale of the character? Interesting. Yeah, this looks old. Old. Image description. A mock-up from September of 2021. 1 year and 8 months before release. Functionally very similar to the hero skill list at release, just prior to any polish. True. My goodness. How far it came. About 6 months after release, we started exploring the idea of organizing these skills differently. Some early, but scrapped ideas. Oh. See this click thing down here? No. Glad they didn't go with that. This looks a little better. Image description. 2 images of hero skills sorted by type. Warfare, battle magic support, and level. Know that these mockups did not consider changing the fundamental workings of the hero skills. We just didn't like the UI visually. But feedback kept coming in about heroes feeling samey and lacking identity, so Thomas started cooking. He then approached me with that legendary what if. A what if that gave us many sleepless nights but would ultimately become the pride and joy of all of us who worked on it. So let's catch you up on the new hero skill interface. Where did we start off and end up? Well, this was the what if that Thomas handed me. Okay. Origin 24 Dragon. Yep. Thomas would put the dragons at top. 17 sovereign skills. Image description. Question mark, question mark, question mark. Yeah. Absolute designer mumbo jumbo. It then took probably 4 hours for him to explain this and for me to understand it. Having this dev diary would have helped. But after breaking my brain, I did 2 mockups for how we could present this new hero skill system to the players. Oh, this is kind of interesting. Admittedly, it would be annoying to click through these every time. Hero skill tree layout mockup, where each tree had a different job. That's kind of cool. The one skill point's up here. I believe it's in the bottom left now. Hero skill tree layout mockup, where all the trees are present in one interface, similar to how the final in-game version was set up. As you can probably tell by the final result, we chose the latter in order to minimize clicking between different tabs. Hey! As a disclaimer, I'm able to do my mockups pretty easily and freely in Photoshop, but getting them functional in-game is a whole different ballgame. Simon, gameplay and interface programmer, did an incredible job translating the mockup despite technical and time limitations. We added additional functionalities such as mutually exclusive skills, and even got to stretch our goal of incorporating different icons for the active abilities. Behold. I also participated in unintentional intern abuse by assigning the reworked icons to our intern, Alex. Please give him some love for the monstrous amount of icons he made. Here are the hero skills alone, but most of these also come paired with either ability icons, unit property icons, and or status effect icons. Yeah. There are a lot of them, aren't there? Some of these already existed, but they had to go through and make new ones, and they mentioned in the dev stream that they tried to, like for example, the fist represents shock, and the axe represents usually like crit or something. And they tried to streamline, condense them all, so you could just look at it and kind of know what you were picking up. I think they did a pretty good job. An additional shout out to our VFX artist, Anna, who made and reworked an equally monstrous amount of FX to go with this rework. And they mentioned a few times in the dev stream that there's a whole bunch of new particle effects. In fact, I think I have that written in my notes somewhere. If you think making hundreds of new icons is hard, imagine doing the same for effects that also have a gazillion possible combinations in modularity. And of course, the hero rework also came with the addition of governor bonuses and ambitions, all of which needed UI mockups, implementation, and icons too. But I'll do plenty of rambling in the upcoming art dev diary, so I won't bore you with the details any further and instead let Thomas take back the reins. I am really excited. To be honest, all of these are great. The hero changes are all great, like in their own, in a vacuum. The skill changes, the governance, the renown, the ambitions. But when they all come together, it's magnificent. The new hero panel, note the section on the left displaying all info related to governance, renown, and the hero's ambition. Look at it. Governance has always been a little messy. Players could understand that they would assign a hero to govern a city and gain benefits from that, but exactly what and why wasn't always clear. Basically, each affinity point a hero had granted a tiny uptick in income that added together to a decently substantial amount. I wanted to add more personality to the heroes, at the same time make the presence of a governor much more noticeable and meaningful. Thus, we concocted the governance traits, heavily inspired by the governance background traits I'd made in a past update. Yes. Look who's all grown up. This is the Industrious Governor. This is actually in the dev stream, they have one of these. They also built like 5 more quarries than you really need, but that's okay. There's benefits for that. Governance traits are a new trait given to each hero that determines the effects they grant their governed city. These usually entice a city to specialize in a particular way, leading to more variation in the Empire cities and a more noticeable impact from the governor's rule. Each hero has a random governance trait, while rulers always have a very generalist, gaudier governor trait, which boosts the throne city significantly. That's not what this is, but yes. The shiny new governor selection UI, note it shows the level of each governor as well as the current active effect. You may have noticed that the governance trait has levels. These are unlocked by gaining renown, further empowering the governing effects of that hero. How do you gain renown, you ask? Allow me to enlighten you about ambition. Yes, indeed. So with the UI overhaul here, or I suppose addition, could we keep our fingers crossed for an overhaul of the, this one, the city panel? Because it's so bare bones, please. Fingers crossed. Ambitions. Not gonna lie, the fact that they moved this to the left kind of tilts me. I was used to it being on the right. That's okay. That's alright. The new ruler ambitions available for selection in the last step of the faction creation. You can pick them all. Look at that. Each hero has ambitions. What's going to happen to my Pantheon heroes? Just randomly get one? Completing these ambitions is how they gain renown and renown levels. Each renown level grants their army a slight boost in morale. But most importantly, renown levels determine the benefits gained from the governance skill. Ambition are chosen as a set. Rulers may choose them during the creation process, while heroes will have a random set of ambitions. Each set contains a minor and a major ambition. Minor ambitions are repeatable, short-term goals, which are the main source of renown gain. Major ambitions can only be completed once per hero, but grant a much larger reward and unlock a unique skill for the hero that suits the deed they have accomplished. A duelist who manages to slay a ruler in single combat, for example, gains increased damage and defense against heroes. That's not what this image is showing, but don't worry, I actually have an image for this. Aggressive Tactician. This hero has managed to complete her major ambition, giving her a unique trait to boost her army's aggression. I wonder what that means. Should you end up with a hero whose ambitions you are unable to complete, after a set period of time, an event will occur where you may choose to have them chase a different ambition instead, letting you continue their progress another way instead. This one is one of my personal favorites. It was suggested by Lucas, who did the code support for this particular system. With minor adjustments we put it in, it creates a really enjoyable dynamic where one of your heroes becomes the right hand of your ruler. This is the... what? This is the same one. I think this is supposed to be elitist. Which, I don't have an image for, but that I believe they want to be in a stack with your ruler. So you can actually have a bodyguard ambition, which I think is really cool. I love bodyguards. The hero rework is an enormous undertaking, representing the largest rework of anything a Triumph has ever done to a game post-release. Not just design and implementation, but code support by several of our famed codier. A special thanks to Simon and Lucas, and also art where Alex has soldiered through remaking every single hero skill and hero ability icon in the game, or Anna, who gave the hero abilities some much needed love in their visual effects. So after a grueling few months of hard work, we arrive at the Tiger Patch, alongside Ways of Wars, released on November 5th. This will make your conquest in Age of Wonders 4 even more heroic. I, and the rest of Triumph, look forward to seeing what you create with these new jewels. Yeah, the Tiger Patch is absolutely correct. Like, I don't want to say... hesitant to say this, but the Tiger Patch overshadows the DLC. The DLC looks really fun. I'm super excited to play the Oathsworn culture. I love the Eastern Asian aesthetic, as something of a weeb myself. But the Tiger Patch just changes so many fundamental things about the game that it's going to make it feel fresh, I think. I'm really, really excited. Sorry, got something caught in my throat there. So, without further ado, let's get to the dev stream. As mentioned, this dev stream was pretty chill. My notepad is a little vacant. But, I got a shout out. Which revealed a little bit of a secret. But, that's okay. We'll talk about it when we get there. Don't worry. I'm going to keep dragging you along. You know, increasing the watch time. If you made it this far. Hi. Thanks. Yordi, the QA specialist, had joined Thomas on yesterday at this point's dev stream. Feel free... Notepad broke. I'll leave a link to that in the description down below. The first thing we're looking at here is this button. Repair provinces. In the live version of the game, you have to click on each ruined province and repair for 50 gold. And it can be a hassle if you're being besieged or at war with the rest of the world, like Oathsworn of Strife. But now you can just click on the city, and you'll have this repair province button that can repair all of the ruined provinces with a single button click. It's small, It's minor, but it is magnificent. Of course, there is still the restriction you can't have any invading forces, but hey, we knew that. Here is the new governor UI that we saw in the dev diary. It looks beautiful. And as I said in the dev diary, it breaks down all the stuff. This is the Gaudier governor, which I think is actually insanely powerful. The growth rate is so much higher with the Gaudier governor. It's insane. There's the picture. So here's why I was mentioned. Many of you may recall, longtime viewers may recall, ever since the GPU workaround / fix for the NVIDIA drivers was introduced, I've had artifacting. Now, I've never had artifacting this bad. This is on next level of artifacting. But for whatever reason, something they did in this patch, this upcoming patch, has made it worse. And so, I have access to a build. You already mentioned that I have been testing this, and they actually fixed it for me. I tested it out before I started recording this. I have no artifacting except in very small circumstances where two UI elements overlap. So I'm not sure what they did. The suspicion is it's related to an outdated driver that the computer they're playing on has. But yeah, so hopefully whenever we start the next playthrough, there will be noticeably less, if not no artifacting in that playthrough. Hopefully. Fingers crossed. Knock on wood. So thanks for the shout out, Yordi. Here is the work that Anna did on some of the new VFX. The hands look like yellow gloves, and I'm not sure I'm ever going to get over that, but mainly looking at the weapon here. This was the Blood Fear weapons, of course, nothing new. But they changed a lot of the particle effects to like condense them, reduce them, which hopefully will help with the game's performance. Again, fingers crossed, knock on wood. You can hope. The devs are also looking at reworking sieges. It's not a huge overhaul, but they're hoping that the improvements they're working on will address the feedback they've gotten over the game's, lifespan. Here are the new sword and crossbow. It's literally a sword and a crossbow combined. I thought maybe it'd be a hand bow, like a smaller one, but I think it's literally just a crossbow held in one hand, which, pretty metal. You can do that. You have stronger arms than I do. I noticed this when they were hovering over the Order bolstering matrix. Again, still the strongest bolstering matrix out there. Did they nerf Fortune? Wasn't this 15% crit hit chance? Previously, originally, it was 10% crit hit chance stacking up to 5 times, and they nerf/buffed it to be 15% crit hit chance stacking up to 3 times. But in this screenshot, it says 10% critical hit chance stacking up to 3 times. They nerf our total crit chance? How dare they? To be fair, it probably needed to be nerfed, because Chaos now has the stacking, like the Chaos signature skill has stacking crit hit. If you go all the way down it, I think that's plus 40% crit hit chance to the army, which is BANANAS. Bananas. For this screenshot, I noticed the grievance thing is here. It doesn't really fit, but just thought I'd point that out. The Eldritch Sovereign was mad at them. She should join the line. I think only the frog enjoyed the company of Uzong Flurrycut. We have some hero skills here. They have a Payan the Longbow, who they were training as their sniping assassin. They're showing us some of the skirmisher stuff, so we have a flanking skirmisher. Flanking attacks now deal 20% more damage, the idea being using a mount, you get into position and you shoot people in the back or shank them. Skirmisher training, which basically makes you a skirmisher. It gives you the skirmisher traits of slippery and swift, so you can ignore zone of control and you are not slowed by terrain. Remember, that now includes various brushes and trees and bushes and high grass. That's an old reference. Versatile Skirmisher is the exclusive choice with the Flanking Master. This is the fun thing I talked about earlier, where like the melee attacks will give you prepared shot, which I think is just a damage increase for your next range attack for 2 turns, whereas physical range attacks will grant you prepared strength, which I think is just a melee damage increase for 2 turns. Not sure how high those bonuses are, but that could be a really fun mechanic to play around with. And there's, of course, Slip Away down here. Just because why not? You know? And here is the major ambition for the Duelist. The Duelist ambition. Increasing their damage against heroes by 50%, which seems insane for what they were going for. This on a Mage Lock hero? Oh. I dream. The world ends. Also gives them +3 defense and resistance against heroes, so they take less damage from heroes. Not really relevant for this ranged character, but hey, you can't have it all. This screenshot was an artifacting screenshot, but of course, I missed the artifacting with the screenshot. I don't even know how that's possible, but they had the little box that spawned on the haste berries here. I think the suspicion is that it's related to, like, the shadows on various UI elements, but I don't know. For the longest time, they haven't been able to replicate the flickering on their own computers, and then this stream is just like, hi, it's like I cursed them. Sorry? It is infinitely amusing, though, to me. Now you know my pain, my suffering. They found a Dark Warrior, and here's the new stance. Again, this is only for the great swords. Axes and lances and whatever didn't get new stances. So this was where Payan completed his Duelist ambition. This is one of the Bronze Wonders where you fight 3 other heroes. So they basically just farmed their Longbow's ambition. I thought that was really cool, because it adds like an extra layer of something you can think about, you know? Like, does this really make a difference? No, probably not. There's just one more thing of efficiency, of skill ceiling, that has been raised. And since we're underground here, at one point in time during the stream, Thomas asked, what is underground? Because chat was talking about it. I think they forgot that well, they weren't there. Tom built their 3rd city to expand underground as well. And Thomas didn't know that. And so they just never expanded underground. So chat was, you know, go underground, go underground. But Yordi responded, nothing this DLC. Fingers crossed, knock on wood. It means Giant Kings is going to have some fun underground stuff. I hope so. I know we have like the crystal magic and the whatever, but the underground could also use a little bit of loving, you know what I'm talking about? Also, they wanted to add more weapon types, which is why the item forge for the skirmisher weapons does not say skirmisher weapons or dual weapons. It says other weapons, because they had more plans, but things didn't work out. It sounds like time was really tight this time around, because they were changing a lot of things. Here is True Shot shooting through a statue. Very impressive. Very skilled. Zinch works in many ways. They had the regular attack aimed at him, and, you know, it got blocked by the statue. But then they switched to the True Shot, and they're like, this just goes through line of sight. Neat party trick. They were finally able to complete the intrigue happening. This is, of course, the Voice of the People, the quote-unquote basic happening, where you can help lead a rebellion. And basically they sieged Helix Hold, the capital of Tempest. This guy was like, hey, I will be your new Gaudier. I will ascend to greatness and rule over our people, for there will be no more tyranny. Now, you could support the new rule of the Stormborn Draconians. I'm assuming he would replace Tempest and you become an ally. But that's not what they did. You can see Thomas's evil smile here. They assassinated him. They killed him before he could ascend. Et tu, Brute. And yeah. I don't remember what I think they just took the Imperium here. Which, you know, that's what I would do, so. Goodbye, enemy. And there's the new icon for completing an ambition. The major ambition for the duelist is to kill an enemy Gaudier. So, they farmed... Payan farmed his minor ambition in the Bronze Wonder, and he completed his major ambition right here. Also, apparently the Conqueror's major ambition allows you to spawn 2 Devastator Spheres. I'm not sure if that's only in siege battles, or if that's just you now have a new ability. Not sure. Not sure. They also talked there could be a potential nerf for the Cult of Personality in the future, which is the new society trait that allows... What is the wording again? It gives you a... All of your heroes get a bonus skill point whenever they increase in renown level. So I'm assuming that means +3. And then you can recruit up to 4 Pantheon heroes, which is absolutely cracked. They were going to show it off, but they couldn't in this build for one reason or another. They're also, on the note of Pantheon heroes, they were able to fix a few of the triggers for spawning Pantheon heroes. It sounds like in the new iteration, when you go to recruit a Pantheon hero, it doesn't just show you all of your Pantheon heroes, it has like various checks on which ones are available. But we'll see, of course. And True Strike from the Tome of Discipline is now a once per battle buff. That is what makes your next ranged attack guaranteed to hit. Applied to... Oh boy, what does it apply to? Range units, battle mages, and supports, I think. So that is now once per battle. And speaking of once per battle, actually, that doesn't make any sense. We're back. We're back in the heroes with the mage. We talked a little bit about this in the dev diary, but I have some skills to show you. As mentioned, we have the fire evoker and the lightning evoker over here on the left. The fire evocation is a 1 hex radius, which is all well and good. If you keep going down this tree, pyromancy is here. You can actually do pyromancy with lightning as well if you take the sidestep. Magic attacks and abilities gain a 90% chance of inflicting burning for 3 turns. Very good for, of course, chaos. Lightning evoker is the bouncing, so they don't have to be grouped up for the hex. This will just bounce to nearby targets within 3 hexes. The devastating evocation is in the middle, so either path can take this. Fire evocation now deals 30 fire damage, and lightning evocation now deals 35 damage, or lightning damage. It is mutually exclusive with its surroundings and leads to all 3 paths, so I'm imagining this will be taken more often than not, unless you have a specific plan in mind. The fire evocation can go into cascading evocation, which modifies fire evocation from being a 1 hex to a cascading effect. So you click something and it will burn, or it'll, pass on, cascade, if you will, onto any adjacent unit. So the AI is very good about separating these days, but if for some reason they're not, you could technically hit their entire army with this. It guarantees burning and deals +5 damage. Huh. How does that work? If you go with cascading into pyromancy, I guess that just means your other abilities have a chance to burn as well. It's just the fire evocation that guarantees burns with this. Interesting. If you go lightning evocation, you can go into sundering evocation, where it turns lightning evocation into a debuff ability, so it's modified by other stuff. It also inflicts guaranteed sundered defense and guaranteed sundered resistance. And then over here on the right is the curse tree. This is like the warlock thing we were talking about earlier. And apparently just by default, curse does 2 times sundered defense, sundered resistance, and weakened. In a previous dev diary, I thought that was an upgrade, but nope. And here is the frost curse. Curse now deals 30 frost damage instead of 12. And it gains a 120% base chance of inflicting frozen for 1 turn. Fair and balanced. I believe this one over here on the left, which is mutually exclusive with Frost Curse for a reason, because it's an AoE hex. Could you imagine an AoE freeze at 120% base chance? My goodness. And the apex skill for the quote-unquote warlock is the Temporal Plague. 5. What is that? Hello? Is it just 1 AP? 5 lightning damage. Debuffs the target and all connected enemy units. This is another cascading thing, I believe. With a 90% chance to stun and decay. Could be crazy. But again, the AI has gotten a lot better about not standing together, so we'll see how truly potent this becomes. But at the end of the day, this could be a, point and click stun, which is still very strong. Further down the Pyromancy tree is Fan the Flames. In magic attacks and abilities, inflict guaranteed burning for 3 turns for targets with at least 1 stack of burning. Interesting. Okay. And then down the middle here are the just like raw stat increases with Channel Power, 0 AP once per combat, magic attacks gain plus 3% damage till the end of the current turn. I believe this is going to be so much better now. This is going to be very strong now. It was kind of mid previously. Like, I think only really the Eldritch Sovereigns could abuse it. But now we're in. And then we have the Magecrafts, which were buffed. Magic attacks and debuff abilities ignore 1 status resist and gain 10% accuracy. Magecraft 2, ignore up to 2 status resistance and gain 10% accuracy. Distant Evocation, magic attacks and debuff abilities gain +1 range. And Arcane Strength, magic attacks and debuffs gain 10% damage, 10% accuracy, and ignore up to 2 status resistance. So with no item forge weapon shenaniganry, you can get 5. You can ignore up to 5 status resistance, which could be crazy with all the new debuffs built in to the tree, and who knows what the signature skills hold. And then we have this tree down here with, if you go all the way down to Lightning Evocation, you get to Quick Phase, which sounds all well and good. This is 0 AP 3 range teleport. That's great. But to get Quick Phase, you need to get Displacement. Literally my least favorite passive in the entire game. Upon sustaining damage, this unit teleports to a random location within 2 hexes, enter defenses mode, and gains evasion for 3 turns. Works once per turn. That is a lot better than the previous displacement I played with, but every single time I have a hero with displacement, they get teleported to the front line, they get put in a terrible position, an enemy runs up to them, smacks them, they're in the zone of control. It's just... oh. Tilter. It's a real tilter. So I'm probably never going to use Displacer. That's where I'm going with this. And there's the video I'm recording right now. Would you look at that? We made it through the whole bloody thing. We did it. I hope you enjoyed your drink and or popcorn. Oh, my water. It looks delicious. But that is it for the Dev Diary Dev stream. Thank you all for watching. I hope you enjoyed. And it sounds like we're getting another one next week, which isn't that surprising. Because, of course, the DLC is releasing on November 5th, which means we have another Thursday to go through. And it'll be pretty pictures. I love looking at pictures. Pictures are great. I don't know if this counts. This is like spaghetti. Less a picture. More so a loose collection of negative traits. But thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed. Thank you to the patrons and the channel members who support the channel. I greatly appreciate you. If you would like to help the channel, feel free to join the description down below. And I will see you next week. Bye.